buttons. Let's do it. It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time. Let me find my buttons. Let's see. This is the one.
30.
29.
20.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20 seconds.
19.
18. 17.
16.
15.
14.
13.
12. 11. 10.
9.
8.
7.
6.
5.
4.
3. 2. 1. 0.
What is Pops doing?
Our extraordinary cast and crew gave it their all to bring you the most immersive, authentic, and entertaining cinematic experience. There's real jets, real popcorn on the biggest screens exclusively and only in the theaters. So I hope you enjoy. We've made it for you.
You're muted, Pops.
Oh, I was muted. Look at that. I was muted. Look, I'm boomerang right out of the gate. Greetings and salutations. Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, listen. Technical issues aside, Florida weather, power outages. We have endured. We will carry on. We will have some fun. And Mags is with me. Beautiful Magitek Mags. How are you, lady?
Hello. I'm good. I'm good. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, everybody.
Chris Persia counted out FYC song. Pieces of it are actual FYC. Clips are from a video. Yes, Fine Young Cannibals, a favorite song. I don't know exactly how I ran across it. Kind of found a knockoff little version to throw up in there. So yeah, you know me. It's always going to be retro. It's always going to be retro. Listen, we'll see how it all goes. We're going to play, have some fun. Look he's able to make it. The T-shirted one, my friend. How are you?
Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land.
Hey, sorry for the back and forth
T-shirted
stuff going on, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, you know.
No problem. It's like tons of hot over here. So
yeah, it is here too. We're all in the South, some way, shape, or form, and I'm in Florida, so the rain and the weather, and I've been lucky. I can't complain because I've been lucky to have not had a stream get knocked out probably for quite a while. So yeah, the whole power of the whole area was out. Like I was completely, well, I guess we'll see what happens. It came back. I'm like, well, it's all written, kind of have notes. It's all done. Let's just see what happens. So thanks, man, for hopping in and joining me.
No problem.
T-shirt deserves a lot of credit, Max, because he's kind of in large part one of the first people to stream with me, kind of help. I don't know. It was encouraging to have someone who'd done it for a while and host of Twig. Love This Week in Geek. That's how I found him. Listened to several shows. Was like, okay, all right, I'm learning a lot, taking some notes. And he like agreed to stream with me and kind of learn a little more. Like, yeah, so it's kind of blossomed out from there. So great to have him back. It's awesome.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And you know, I like to try to get Mags on the show anytime I can, but she's always busy. So you know,
it's all the juggling. We all have our lives that we're juggling. So yeah, it's tough to. I'm actually usually trying to RSVP Mags weeks in advance. So for those of you that are trying to get her, you know, you have to hit her up for stuff.
Okay, so Mags, what are you doing?
For real,
the
35th
of July, and you know.
Look at Loki talking smack. I am Loki. You can vouch for me. I am never late. I'm early. I'm a trained old man that's 15 minutes early to everything, and no power outage. The whole block is down, and then finally Juice came back, and we're gonna throw it out there. And you know what? If I had to be in Eris's category, I'll take it. It's not the worst crowd in the world. So, but here we are,
Hey,
folks.
Loki.
Tons of stuff. Yes, Loki, the man, he's in there. So, he had a great talk hard with us last night. We broke down Terror on the Prairie and then talked some other stuff. So. But yeah, there's so much news. You can't even keep up. It's a full-time job to do different stuff. I want to kind of touch on a couple things with you guys. T-shirt, did you get a chance to see Maverick yet?
Yeah, I did. I actually did get to watch that.
What are your thoughts on Top Gun versus Maverick? Did the sequel outdo the first one?
I kind of think the sequel shows a lot of the maturity on the part of Tom Cruise and I guess the film directors and everything else. And whereas the first Top Gun is kind of, jocular and with a few, moments of drama and stuff like that.
Simplistic compared to the new one. I think that's what I would say about the new one. The new one has a very more complex subplots for characters, and what they pulled off, I think, greater than the first one was that I cared so much about the secondary characters. In fact, there's the black pilot. I don't remember his name because it's been a minute since I saw it. I don't want him to die, and I couldn't even tell you his name. But I'm like, no, I don't want this guy to die. I'm like emotionally invested, and I don't remember having as much of that in the original as I did for this film. So yeah. $1 billion, Mags. $1 billion. First $1 billion Tom Cruise film. It's so freaking great to see. It really is.
Take that, all the excuses for the the virus of unspecified origins.
Yes. Daryl the Derelict's coming up in here. And Daryl, my friend. Daryl. We've got RSVP'd for Daryl. Daryl will be with us next time. So 2 weeks, we'll be doing another Pops Talk. We're going to have Daryl up in here. So we haven't had Daryl on my show. I've been on his show a couple times. So it'll be great to actually get that looked out. So yeah, what are your thoughts in the chat? You want to chime in? Chris Persia, of course, is here. He's wrenching away, taking good care of me, always having my back. I appreciate it so much. He's I keep warning, the boomeritis is contagious, bro. I am the freaking master at this boomeriting 9 cents, trying to do the tech stuff. It's not my thing. But yeah, I think that it's just an interesting thing. Mags, you and I were talking off air, and T-shirt, love your thoughts, because sequels just don't generally hold a candle to originals. It's like one of those, can you name 10? It's like that's it. It's like you get to 10. I think Maverick gets to move into that category where it's at least arguably better than the original. I say it is, but I can understand people who want to go, no, I like the original. But I think it's a superior story. I think execution's better. They used a lot of practical effects. They didn't try to go crazy CGI on us. I don't know. So thought I'd throw it out there and see. Mags was able to finish Maverick in time, was able to get to it. So we'll get her opinion when she's done. So I think she'll agree with me because I'm arrogant that way.
I'm 50 minutes in, y'all. That's all I can say.
Yep. We're going to keep it all in the download right there. That's all. Look, I'll say this to Loki, if you're still out there, my friend, you'd be proud of me. You'd be proud of me. Hooking up Mags. I did good. You'd be proud. You'd be proud of the old man. But speaking on that, another sequel, I think I would not say it doesn't hold a candle to the original, but it was interesting to see Ghostbusters Afterlife. They call it a sequel. Another film. I don't know exactly. We don't really know a whole lot. We did get a little bit of a press release on Ghostbusters Afterlife. What will happen next? It is going to arrive rather quickly. So for those of you that hadn't seen, and I say this not because I consider Afterlife to be this, flawless film, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a film. I thought it was emotionally engaged enough to the franchise. I felt like it was a great condition of the story. It's been confirmed 20th Christmas time next year, so 2023. So take that, Disney, Marvel, and all you movie churning machines. Jason Reitman says no. Basically, he was working on probably a follow-up as immediately as he was doing the original. So, T-shirt, let me ask you, what are your thoughts and then
You're
the idea
kind of
that
cutting off
we can
there.
sequel. Oh man! All right, let me stop sharing my screen. That's part of the problem. I'm sure I probably made a tech issue, so let me.
I thought it was me.
Oh, jeez.
No, it's not you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Is it better now?
It is.
Yep.
I'll stop sharing. So that's probably the problem. I probably have limited bandwidth or whatever. So there is a link in the chat for the Afterlife 2 story if you wanted to share it at your end. But so let's start with the quick general question. So what's your thoughts on Afterlife and a sequel and all that kind of stuff as far as the Ghostbusters franchise? What's your thoughts, T-shirt?
To me, it feels like Afterlife. Well, I mean, okay. The truth is, the way Afterlife is plotted out, it really feels like there's just two Ghostbusters films. And that is Ghostbusters, the original, and then Afterlife. Because 2, you could kind of take it or leave it. It was okay. It wasn't nearly as funny as the first one. It wasn't nearly as good as the first one. It had a few moments, but honestly, if you never saw 2, it wasn't a big loss. And 2016 was just,
we don't want to speak
flaming dumpster fire full of crap. So
absolutely a mess. Just absolute complete mess. It's insane how bad it was. Do you think because basically the press the story that come out is that they're going to continue the story. It's going to take off with the after credit scene with back in New York. It's a lot more focus on Winston. It's obviously presumed that this original cast of kids will all come back. Those kinds of things. I don't know. What about you, Mags? You high or low on seeing more Ghostbusters Afterlife and what happens next, kind of stuff?
I think it's just a. I mean, I know it wasn't up to a lot of. I know it seemed like there were some mixed reviews, but I know hearing from other folks, like people from Midnight's Edge and all that kind of stuff. I think maybe it's a good thing to try to move forward with this, but it has to be with the right people. They can't regress back to Ghostbusters 2016.
no.
So I mean, they're gonna have to literally leave that stuff behind. So if it's I mean, look at like a Jace Fox in the chat. He says, love the first 2 is fun, Afterlife good, and made me cry, and that seemed to be a lot of people's reactions to Afterlife. Yeah. And maybe hopefully that's just a sign that if you work with the fans and you don't bash the fans, they will come out and support it. So hopefully that lesson has been learned. And I think there is the right people involved. It's just, they're going to have to be very careful with, don't regress backwards, because that's the only problem. There is the right people.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think both of Jace's comments are fine. Like I have the same kind of reaction. I enjoyed Ghostbusters 2 for what it was. Obviously, I think T-shirt's spot on. It's not nearly as good. We could have easily have skipped it. Afterlife was fine. It was a good wrap up almost to the franchise. And if it ended there, that's fine. They want to carry on. It's about trying to find, because I don't want Afterlife in the title. That's not going to make any sense. So they're going to have to make sure that it's Ghostbusters, whatever. I think I said this, Max. I don't know if you were on the stream with me, if this was a different one, but I basically said, I think Jace was with us, but maybe there's a ton of Ghostbusters material. Like Ghostbusters was a really big deal. I mean, T-shirt, you're going to be familiar with the Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters cartoon. There was some fun stuff in there to work with.
Oh yeah, it was great. The cartoon was okay. I'm just going to come out and say this. Pretty much all the cartoons from the 80s and the 90s were just gold.
Pretty much.
I mean, you can go back and you can watch them, and they were fun. And the nice thing is the way they were made is the adults could enjoy them as much as the kids, and
they weren't annoying.
Yeah, they weren't annoying. You could go back and watch them, and they're still fun. I mean, I'm still going back on eBay and finding old cartoons that I used to watch. Like I recently picked up all the Inhumanoids episodes. Sorry, and all the what was the other series? Visionaries. And I'm still going through and picking up cartoons that I love. I got all the Conan the Adventurer.
That's good stuff.
I got all those cartoons, and there's more, and I'm really, really thankful to all the archivists out there who've kept all this stuff and are making it available.
Ironcaster, you have a great comment, bro, and I appreciate that very much because it says, unlike Ghostbusters 2, they wanted to strike while the irons are hot with this sequel. Yeah, I agree. This is it. And I think it's also fine. Like, it doesn't really matter too much. It doesn't matter as much if Bill Murray doesn't want to participate. I think Aykroyd will, but by the way, it doesn't matter as much. Like, Ernie Hudson was set up in the end credit scene, wealthy investor, businessman, him doing it or coming up a way to deal with something. It would be easy to probably get Aykroyd come in for a cameo or something, maybe at the end or whatever. I think it's one of those things where I'm just happy to see Ghostbusters stuff. I'm happy to see some excitement about Ghostbusters. We went into a comic shop. Mags, you would love this. You would have froze too, I think. And I turned, and there's a 1-on-1, a life-size Slimer on the shelf behind me. I just kind of froze, like, and I asked the guy, so how much? He's like, it's not for sale. And then he's like, well, you can get them online. Whatever. I checked the prices of what he told me. I'm like, nah, they cost quite a bit more than what you're telling me. So you're a little outdated with your marketing prices there. So
yeah, I saw one of those in over at Mile High Comics over in Denver, and yeah, they're impressive when you get up close to them because they're big.
Yeah, it's nice. It's and the detail. It looks really, really good. But to find one for less than $1,000 is probably rough, especially if you have to ship it. It's like, yeah, you're going over probably $1,000. I don't. This guy was telling me way lower than that. That was not what I was finding online. Let's see. I'd have chosen a larger Midwest town for the next film. Chicago, for example, has a ton of potential for a new Ghost. This film could be a retread, familiar to ground again, and be weaker for it. Yeah, it could be. I would like to say that the Reitman, he's interested in trying to take what his dad created, and like it's a labor of love. Squeaka Mouse is in the house. Hey, Squeaka.
Squeaka.
Yeah.
Hey, girl.
So, yeah, it's just it's really good. So, and Jace, I see you there, guys. Yeah, I've had crazy schedules. I was on vacation for a week and a half, getting a year older and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, sorry for you guys. And I know I haven't been on your streams and doing that.
I have to admit what is really frustrating is the fact that there are other YouTube channels I've seen out there they talked about all the different Ghostbusters and out of all the different franchises. Of course, a lot of them pin a lot of the blame on Bill Murray for not signing off on everything and not agreeing and all this other stuff. And that's why the Ghostbusters franchise kind of died as early as it did. But in the same thing, they also continue to blame the fans, saying that it was entitlement and just obnoxious trolls, et cetera, that were why Ghostbusters 2016, did how it did. I mean, it's like, you got YouTube sites blaming the fans now, and I'm just kind of like, dude, that's just, how can you sit there and blame us for how bad your movie did? It's kind of like either you made a good movie or you didn't. If you made a good movie, we'd love it. If you made a bad movie, we're not going to like it. It's very simple mathematics. It's the plus or minus. Which one do you pick?
Yeah, I was doing clips from our last show. There's like this whole segment, and we kept going back in this big circle. We almost couldn't get ourselves. We had to kind of like keep going around and around to get it out of our system of all of these different elements of things, and it's all about toxic fans and whatever.
Yeah,
and Ghostbusters 2016. I guess I have rewatched it because I could objectively say how bad it is. I wanted to be fair. Like, you can have my initial response, and let me be more of like the writer in me, the movie critic in me. And it was like, first off, the arrogance of setting it outside the universe as though they all created the Ghostbusters tech and stuff from square one was the first mistake. Like, it just the idea of doing that again was going to anger fans because it's just a slap in the face.
They were trying to make it into a reboot, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
So.
And if it had been like they were daughters and, you had one that had found some tech, or one was a research assistant, or there were different ways you could have gotten rid of that problem. But obviously the film itself doesn't work on a ton of different levels. But I couldn't agree with you more, T-shirt. And I will say I do fall a little bit on the side of blaming Bill Murray, because I remember covering, I want to say like 10 years ago or more, Ghostbusters 3 stuff, scripts that were being worked on. Aykroyd was very actively scripting ideas and throwing them Bill Murray's way. He'd be in interviews, and he'd just be a callous jackwagon. deflecting and deferring stuff and things like that. I always remember, cause I'm covering it from a news standpoint, but as a fan, I feel very deflated. Like, oh, come on, Bill, just have a bit part, just do something small. We don't need you to be carrying the freaking backpack the whole time. We got it. You don't want to do all that work. I got it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see more Ghostbuster stuff. I'm apprehensive. I definitely feel like Afterlife is a nice sort of bookend. Like you said, what take or leave it with Ghostbusters 2. Ghostbusters 2016 is on alternate timeline. I don't care about all that. So
Yeah.
Atwood's in the house. Hey, bro. Thank you. I did catch pieces of your stream. I was at work, so good to see you streaming again, man, doing your thing. And Ironcaster, you're a beast, man. You're a beast, man. He was up in here last night, so they could have been setting them up in Newtown, the girls in Seattle. Yeah, could have been. Yeah, good. So anyway, so I'm glad everybody's here in chat. Everybody's rolling along. T-shirts, awesome to have you in. And I wanted to, one thing that, in addition to just not have a chance to talk to you directly for a while, I wanted to get a good gaming update and stuff going on. I mean, Twig is rocking and rolling. Always great stuff, folks. If you're not plugged into that Saturday show, it's awesome. There's going to be links to the description, of course, to T-shirts channel. Tons of great folks on there. What's some of the latest, greatest stuff that you kind of want to plug that you guys have been talking about?
Well, it seems like every other week there's something going on with the tabletop gaming industry. So that is kind of a constant topic on our show. And I have nothing, I'm not going to say anything bad about the community or YouTubers or anything like that. It does kind of seem like our TTRPG hobby is kind of a niche that a lot of our friends don't necessarily follow. So I always kind of feel a little bit sad about that, because it's kind of like, we're so enthusiastic. So many of our panelists are either writers for tabletop role-playing games or avid collectors or players of tabletop role-playing games. And so when we announce tabletop role-playing game stuff, it's just kind of like, I always feel like the community is just kind of like, yeah, why don't we move on to something that, like comics or movies or TV shows and all that kind of stuff. And we do that stuff too.
Sure.
But
I treat you as the expert. I gotta be honest. I'm just as guilty as a YouTuber. I guess some people will look at me as being a bigger channel because they count subs more importantly than I do. But reality is, I just don't know enough. I never connected to a lot of that stuff. And for you guys, I listen to you and Ironcaster's become kind of a closer friend, and just I'm learning, trying to understand, because I have such a great appreciation for the mythos and the art and the creative talent, and you have just incredible personalities in there that are able to give such expertise. I just want to see more of it. And but it's also a lot of division in the hobby as well, right? It's
what's that?
It's a lot of chaos and division in the hobby sometimes.
Yes.
It's almost like Gamergate 2.0. Like it's a new version of infighting of crazy stuff. It's like, oh, yeah, they're going through some of that too, and maybe we're not giving enough attention to that. Maybe that's part of the problem.
And it's almost an ageist kind of thing at this point now, because it seems like a lot of the younger crowd just actively hates a lot of us older folks that, are still gaming. And it's like, I keep trying to tell people, it's like, I don't care if it's
old.
I don't care if it's comics, if it's video games, if it's tabletop role-playing games, any hobby you want to name out there that people enjoy now, we built that.
Mm-hmm.
We built that.
All I'm going to say is I love and respect the elderly.
I'm not elderly yet.
Thank you, Matt.
I'm joking, but at the same time, I'm being serious. I mean, as somebody who's probably caught in the middle in a way, because I'm, in my 30s, I just don't understand the clash. I just don't get it. So I honestly like to speak to a younger generation and try to mentor them and help them understand life and all this other stuff. But I also respect people who came before me, who did the stuff, who actually have the wisdom, who actually helped give us the things that we have now, because if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have the things now. So I don't know. It's weird. So
yeah, I mean, it's our fandom that has allowed this stuff to prosper, to grow, and to continue to evolve into what it is now. It's like,
exactly.
Final Fantasy VII, for example, that was such a landmark game for the Final Fantasy series. It's like, everybody played it, everybody enjoyed it for the most part, and everybody always wanted more and more and more of it. And it's kind of like, I thought that was like their spike point for Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy was a great series before then, but 7, I think, really clicked with so many people, and it put it more or less on the map outside of just the realm of, video game nerds.
Yeah, that's the one everybody talks about. Like, that's the one that it's FF7, and it's like, oh, okay, that's the big milestone. Yeah,
and I mean, nice. If you name the characters, people know who they are. Cloud Strife, Barrett Oliver, or Barrett. What's his last name?
But like Red 13 and Tifa
Red 13, Tifa.
Yeah, it's
Tifa, of course. Tifa. Everybody talks about Tifa.
Yeah,
everybody talks about Tifa.
Everybody talks
Yuffie.
about Tifa. Yeah, Yuffie. Yep. It's just. Yep.
Yeah. Yes, Chase. Yeah.
And even now, Fat Steven is playing Final Fantasy VII Remake on his channel. So, it's. I'm glad all that stuff really took off. I'm glad people are enjoying it now today too. And I'm glad to have been part of the generation that drove the sales and the fandom of that to reach the heights that it's gotten to. Because, I was one of the first people in line. I bought a Japanese version of Final Fantasy VII just so I could play it before it released in America. And then, of course, I bought an American version when it came out. So, Final Fantasy and 7 especially was just, that was just magnificent for me. And, that's just one example of one hobby.
Yeah, he just pointed out that every license has kind of had their fingers in this in some way, shape, or form pretty much over the years. And that is so true and so forgotten, by the way. Totally agree with that. Yeah. So it is interesting the way you describe that too. And I think, we did a stream, Mags and I did a stream, we were honoring the 45th anniversary of Star Wars. And I think what was interesting was I had either right before or right after had been bashing Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which
rightfully so.
Right. And I kind of got exactly what you said, T-shirt. I got like, you're just the old guy who can't handle new stuff and whatever. And I was like, what? And it was like, wait a minute. I'm the kid that would buy all these action figures and would beg for more money to buy more. And we were the ones who got you toys. Like, if it wasn't for this phenomenon, this, because before that, they weren't little action figures. They weren't mass produced like that. They were all G.I. Joe sized and what. It's like, it's a weird response. I mean, I've been called a lot worse than that, but it was just, I was kind of shocked by the weirdness of that response. Like, that was, of all the things I was saying, they weren't attacking a lot of substance. They were just saying, well, you're just an old guy. Doesn't like, what are you talking about? Yeah. So it is.
I had to respond to that. Remember, I had to put a comment there, and I said, I'm in my 30s, and if people are saying this stuff, then they can come at me. I don't care. I'll be the defender here. I'll just say, I hate it when people try to do that, where they say, well, you're the old person in the room, and you don't like new stuff. I don't. Well, yeah, the new stuff sucks, for one. I was just going to say it like that. But two, a lot of, I'm not saying I'm at the same age level as you guys, but at least I even know better in terms of what I grew up with. I grew up with all the 80s and 90s stuff. My parents showed old Hollywood classics like Casablanca and, just, I don't understand. And it's like, real storytelling transcends age and time. So it's like,
agreed.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, and that's a good point too. It's like, I will fight anybody to the death when I say that 1982 was the best year for cinema ever.
I'm with
because
you, bro.
you had so many landmarks. Yeah, you had so many landmark films that hit during that era, and a lot of them are still being talked about, still being discovered, still being, the emulated.
Flops. Like, think about the flops. The 3 flops that I always like to point to is what? Blade Runner,
The Thing, Blade Runner, And Tron, yeah.
They were considered flops, and yet
they're cult
these
classics.
legacy films. Yeah, it's like incredible. Don't come at me, Ironcaster, with your 1989. Yes, I understand they're decent. They're not 1982, bro. Go down that list. And by the way, I always want to throw into the caveat. Oh, I can keep going, but remember to always include Raiders of the Lost Ark got re-released in theaters during 1982. So on top of everything else, you also have to include that we had a little dose of some extra Raiders in there too. Yes. So, yeah.
Everybody's fandom started with
there he goes.
This generation, you know.
Oh yeah.
The Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity. It was good, but it's in that order. If you're willing to go 82, 84, 89, I'm willing to at least have a conversation about it. That's fair.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So, is it and again, we'll throw it around, like, I don't know, Mags, what do you think too? Because I think what T-Shirt's saying, we've been talking about now nearly every Pops talk, but definitely last time we did this, and he kind of didn't really want to say it this way, but I see a lot of stuff that you guys are talking about on Twig, and they're talking about the same type of weird social justice thing sometimes. Like, oh, well, you know, we have to say this. I always like to throw weird hashtags and jokes whenever I can listen live, like, you know, Goblin Lives Matter. Like, that was my big thing on the whole show. It's like there was like all these weird back and forth social justice things about race and whatever. And I'm like, it's a fantasy land. Like, I'm like, my head just hurt. Like, I'm like, okay, I don't understand. But then again, that's the whole point. I can't understand. I'm a sane person, so I can't understand. I can't.
I mean, it's like just yesterday, we had somebody popping up on Twitter talking about how they were quitting this this Dungeon Masters mentorship program where they would, you know, help other Dungeon Masters become better at running their games and all this kind of stuff. And her reason is because one of the people who was in it is an extremely toxic personality amongst the gaming spaces. And you know, but then you know, you turn around and you look at her stuff and you kind of find out, it's like, oh, look, it's like, you know, the woke trash is taking out the woke trash. So it's kind of like, okay, well,
woke on woke crime, baby. Woke on woke crime.
Yeah.
They're piranhas. That's what I call them. They're piranhas. And when they tried to eat out us, basically, I know it sounds really terrible to say it like that, but then they start eating on each other. And it's like, because they don't have anybody else to fight against, because that's what they are. They just fight people. I mean, I'm Irish and I like to fight people, but to be quite honest, I don't fight people like that. I like to fight for people, not just for the sake of, you know, I'm better than everybody else.
I said it a year ago, man. It's just like, you know, it's like these people will eventually end up eating each other, because it's like, yeah, they don't have anybody else to chew out anymore. Yeah. Well, they got all of us blocked on Twitter and everything else, so they don't want to hear what we have to say. So they've isolated themselves from anything we have to say. So all they have left to feed on is each other, because that's the only people they listen to anymore.
Just grab popcorn.
I like your piranhas better than my locust analogy. They don't have to steal that, Mag. So, Ironcatcher says Social Justice Crusade has crossed into every hobby, every community. Knitting, try to be careful when I say that. Knitting, because I had said it one time, I didn't enunciate properly, had to deal with it. Yes, that was actually one of the first things when I was paying a lot more attention to YouTube for more than just like music and nonsense. I was like, oh wait, who's this knitting lady? How did she get thrown out of the club? That seems weird. And I listened to like a 2-hour interview of her explaining. And then there was another person. I'm like, holy cow, what is going on? And and
Magitek Mags is like the biggest Final Fantasy geek that I know. I mean, to the point where she even has Magitek as part of her name.
Yes. Oh, she was telling me she couldn't even be on my show in the very beginning because she only knew about, you know, Final Fantasy stuff. She didn't want to talk about all this other stuff. She was like, well, I'm not really an expert. I says, I'm not an expert. I'm just a nerd lover of all this stuff. Even the stuff I don't totally understand. I just love looking at it. I just love hanging out and hearing about it. Stuff like that. So,
but as toxic as the fandoms can get, I do foresee a time where somebody is going to talk about how, you know, the portrayal of Barrett is, racist and stereotypical and all this other stuff. And if Magitek Mags has something to say about it, they will go after her. for defending, the original property. And I mean,
I'm keeping it PG, but I have words in my head, and I'm going to say, "Come at me, bro."
See?
She's Irish. She's breaking her bottle and she's ready to throw down.
I'm ready, y'all.
But I'm saying, I mean, it's like
I know.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Like I didn't get too much racist stuff because I didn't really consider Reva in the Kenobi show to be that big of a deal because there was so much garbage around it. I'm like, okay, can we blame the writer and the director and then the actress and the character? Because that's kind of the order of how that actually should have gone. So I didn't get too much of that. But I could see how some people did with how they approached it because they were obsessing over the character. And I'm like, okay, so you're asking for trouble with the SJWs. But I could agree if Mags, if you go and do some 3-hour stream and you start saying this and that and whatever, they're going to come at you. They're going to call you names. Yeah. And you kind of have to decide when you want to fight, when you don't. I got to be honest. I'm just like, I don't know. I've been called the brainwashed spewer of bile and filth in 2005. It was all downhill. It was all downhill from there.
It's funny. It's funny though, because Final Fantasy VI has the most playable characters and the most diverse cast. So it's going to be funny if they're going to come after me with that garbage. Come at me. I'm ready.
I want to clip just that. Come at me. I'm going to do that. I'm going to clip Mags going, come at me. Come at me.
I'm already in my Esper form as it is. So, I mean, there's trouble.
But see, here's the thing, man. It's like, they have the balls to call us toxic. Yep. And I'm kind of like, we're not toxic. We disagree maybe with each other even. I mean, it's like, okay, if you ask me and Pops who our favorite Star Wars character is, I guarantee you we ain't going to say the same person. No, because it doesn't matter what Pops says. He's clearly wrong because, Chewbacca is obviously the best. No. No, Steve.
He's just purposely trying to stir up trouble. That was a good dancer on with that.
I know. I'm just messing with you there.
Listen, but that was the fun part of being a fan and hanging out in shops and going to conventions and meeting new people. And you'd see people in conventions. I don't know about you, but even before cosplay, it was like the shirts that people would have on and stuff like that. It would start conversations. And a cosplay become, well, can I just get photos? And it was like
well, hell,
it's like, okay, you could be next to the craziest SJW and never have known it. That was the weirdest thing. Now it's an issue. I don't know.
Okay, man. Look at. Okay, like I worked in a game store back in the 90s. It was, we sold video games, we sold role-playing games, we sold everything that was a creative, pop culture thing, right? And I used to sit in there and have arguments that would last for, 3 hours or so with guys about who would win versus Gundam versus, a Veritech from Robotech. Mm-hmm. And we'd sit there and we'd go over. It's like, oh, well, who's better? Rick Hunter is better than, Rei Ayanami and all this other shit. And it'd be like, we just over and over and over. But that's the kind of stuff that nerds could do. But at the end of the day, we didn't just hate on each other and try to cancel each other and, try to get each other fired from work and docs, and all that other garbage. We didn't do that. We didn't do that stuff. Nowadays, you get up online and you make a statement like, my favorite character is Han Solo. And you will have people coming out of the woodwork that you've never even heard of, who've never even crossed your path, will be coming out there and saying, oh, you like him because he's a toxic male, don't you? You realize that, he is actually a murderer and a pirate and a thug and a mercenary, and he takes money and he's a bad father on top of all that. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah,
it's gotten insane. By the way, Stephen Ransom with comments like this. It seems like another one of your great magical photo opportunities to see a Magitek Mags with the broken glass and the blood dripping off of it, and her, come at me. I want to see that image.
I mean, I'm wearing a T-shirt right now where it's from an axe throwing company. It says I'm sexy and I throw it. So come at me.
There we go. That's it. That's good.
This could be your Halloween costume.
It's my everyday Halloween costume.
Loki's like, I'll tell him to eat a bag of D's. I'm like, yes, I know you will, my brother. I know you'll actually mail them. So we're very well aware. We can ask Valiant Renegade about the veracity of Loki's threats. So.
I know that lore.
But again, getting back to what I'm saying, okay, it's like, like I said, we had these arguments about Robotech and all this other stuff But we weren't toxic fans. We were passionate fans. We loved the stuff. That's why we were passionately arguing about our passions, but we didn't cancel each other's stuff. Toxic to me is trying to hunt down somebody's personal information and get them fired from work and make sure they never work again because they expressed an opinion you don't like, or they had a disagreement with you over something, or you tried to stick up for somebody and they didn't like that. I mean, it's like, it's like, where do you draw the line on where toxic really is? Am I toxic for stating an opinion, or am I toxic when I try to harm somebody else? You tell me. I mean,
Yeah, something broke in our multiverse, as I've said many, many times. I feel like I'm in the Back to the Future alternate timeline with things where suddenly this sort of SJW, third wave feminist, all under some woke umbrella stuff, also becomes socially acceptable to dox people, murder their abilities to make a living, put people at physical harm, things of that nature. It's like this hide behind a keyboard stuff has been allowed to run too far, too rampant. And I think it's still going to take a while to unwind some of it. But if we went full circle back to some of the stuff we were talking about, though, when does money keep mattering enough? Like, how much longer? I think I do agree with Gary at Neurotic. We got a couple more years because this stuff does take so long to go through the pipeline. But with Maverick, I'll say this too, because I'm also discouraged to see how much money Jurassic World and Doctor Strange made. But with Maverick, it starts to raise questions and eyebrows of like, wait a minute. We can make this and make money. I don't know how much longer we have to, like, when do people start losing more jobs and we start to see more of that. Now, in the gaming community, the tabletop industry, book production, those kinds of things, has any of that sort of manifested yet, where we can see a certain publisher at risk, a certain piece of the industry is like, oh, keep an eye on this. This could be a red flag or definitely a landmark moment or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so obviously, you can't swing a dead cat in the TTRPG space without hitting the biggest animal in the entire space, and that is Dungeons and Dragons, which is currently being mismanaged by Wizards of the Coast. When they originally put out their latest edition, which is 5th edition, and keep in mind, all throughout, the gaming times, we've always had edition wars. You've always had people saying, oh, well, 1st edition is the best. Oh, basic is the best. Oh, 3rd edition is the best. Oh, nobody says 4th edition is the best. We don't talk about 4th edition. But, but 5th edition is the latest one. And when they originally brought the game out, they were trying to appeal to us old guys, the old guys who had been the stalwart, grognards from earlier days. Hey guys, come back and play with us again. We know you took some time off, but we're bringing your favorite system back, and it's going to be better than ever, and all this blah 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 blah. We know you got the money. We know you have the kids, and
you can afford graph paper now.
Yeah, we can afford the big expensive books. Well,
yes.
That's what happened. We got into it. We found out what it was like, and another group of people also joined in, and that was the younger folks. And I have nothing against the younger folks, but they decided they liked 5th edition too, but they didn't like all the stuff dealing with 5th edition. They didn't like our lore. They didn't like the way that characters were built. They didn't like the fact that, people played this way or that way, and they never even read all that stuff entirely. But they made summary judgments on all the things in it, and they complained and complained and complained, and Wizards of the Coast bent the knee to these people. So as a result, we have new books that are coming out that are basically rewriting all the stuff, and they're making it tepid, I guess, for lack of better words. But I mean,
so won't that take a while to filter the financially back around to them, for them to see, look, we made all this new product, we think we're appeasing them, and then they don't buy it, no one wants to buy it, it becomes a financial failure?
I think they're already starting to see that. Okay. Because the last few supplements that have been released for that game have not done well.
Okay.
The last thing they brought out was the Radiant Citadel, and its big claim to fame was, worked on completely by POCs.
Oh yeah.
And it was a POC apparently started the idea, and every single adventure in it was written by a POC. And I'm kind of like, okay, so what are you trying to say by this? Are you trying to say that white people can't enjoy it too, or are you trying to say it's only for POCs? Or are you trying? What are you trying to say, that POCs can write it better? And really, what to me is it's like saying, it's like, okay, POCs can't sell anything unless they're given a special privilege and book to where only they can work on it, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm kind of like, that's the wrong look as well, in my opinion. I mean, I'm a POC. Okay, if they offered me a job to work on Radiant Citadel, I said, nah, fuck you. I have standards. I don't need you to offer me a special place to write your shit because my skin color is brown.
Yeah,
I don't need it. I have my own talents. I've been writing D&D stuff or stuff for tabletop role-playing games since the early 90s. I don't need your handout. I can get by on my own. I may not make as much money as one of your hired on folks, but I'll still have my integrity. I can still walk around and look people in the eye and say, hey, you know what? I didn't participate in that because I didn't have to.
Amen. Amen.
You did it based on merits.
Yes.
Yeah. Mags, you were commenting, I think it's worthy of giving Gap some time. He's talking about the nastiness that he had to face because of the Stargate fandom, as Gap Stargate was getting backlash because he didn't like his opinion about things. So he had to change his name. So now it's Gap After Dark. You're still Gap Stargate in my heart, bro. And you pointed out politics and toxicity and all that kind of stuff. And it's it's just out of control, man. This is crazy. You got people, grifters in here as well. It's like, it's like, what on earth? Like, we're going to go after somebody's name. It's like, what's wrong with people? Don't you have a life? Don't you have things
Gap
to do?
Stargate, anytime you want to talk Stargate, look me up, man. I love Stargate. That was one of my favorite shows. I got all the episodes for Atlantis and for the regular seasons, and I did actually watch one season of Stargate Universe, but honestly, I hated it, so I'm sorry. But the rest of it, I'm good with.
Before we get to Ironcaster's comments, let me get this straight. They're trying to create a safe space for POC onlys. Wait a minute, isn't that what we used to call segregation? What it kind of sounds like. It's birthed out of white guilt, right? It's white guilt is a thing to them. Okay, so
I'll tell you this as somebody who is white. It's all the white women. I'm sorry.
they're technically they're awfuls. I don't know if you've heard this or not. A fluent white female.
They're born with a spoon in their mouth, and they have no real life experience whatsoever, or have never dealt with conflict in their life. That's all I'm gonna say.
That is so not fair, Mags, because like just yesterday, Starbucks got their coffee wrong, and they had to take it back and talk to the manager. Right.
You know what I say to those women? I can throw ninja stars, knives, and axes. Get a life.
Okay, I'm afraid to even know what this comment is about. So the
Strixhaven coffee shop. Okay.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast released a campaign setting called Strixhaven, and the idea behind it was a magic college. And your character would play a person who went to the college and was having the college life through this magical fantasy universe. And the highlights of this role-playing experience included prom nights.
Oh,
and
what?
Yes, you could experience the prom night in a magic fantasy world where you can play like a blue-skinned tiefling or a lizard man or something. Yeah.
It just sounds like the Hellfire Gala that we talked about last time, Mags, with the X-Men.
Well, yes.
Mags hadn't seen T-shirt. Mags had not seen the photos of their costumes, and we only spent a few minutes because we could have gone deep. There's like 40 characters. We didn't even get into like the cameos and stuff. It's absurd.
I'm surprised that the wokies aren't tearing down the offices of Marvel because of letting Phoenix turn Iceman gay by basically invading his brain and switching him over.
It doesn't matter as long as it adds another person to the alphabet community to them. They're so simple-minded. That's all they care
I guess.
about.
I mean, you
And-
know,
It's insane. It's like violating someone's
yeah.
brain, subconscious.
Which
I
is
don't
not that. Which is they. I mean, I agree with this concept, but you know, it's against consent, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
mean,
Well, it's also just a weird. Just the idea that it went through the way it did was just very, very strange. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, in X-Men, Jean Grey reads Bobby's mind. He's Iceman, and then just kind of outs him as being gay. Now, Bobby has a long legacy of ladies. He's kind of I don't want to say a ladies man, but he's definitely bad at storylines. And just out of the blue, he suddenly, yeah. So out of the blue, he's on the other team. He's a bottom. He's a top.
Yeah.
He's a something. I don't know. It's just like what just happened here? Like I don't.
Well, you know. Well, okay, you know, here's the truth. You know, it's like, you know, Mags is a female and has always been gay, and even though she doesn't ignore it or acknowledge it, we're just gonna turn that switch and make her gay, because that's fair and right, and that's a good thing to do, right?
Oh, it's crazy. Man.
Mag's totally gonna agree with that, right?
fuck that shit. Excuse me.
I know we're running up that tab tonight. Loki's like, wait a minute, you won't let me curse. I'm like, well, I'm trying my best. We've broken the. Yeah, this is not a stream for my wife.
Well, we're almost an hour in, so you're okay. You're safe.
Yeah, you're good.
Yep, Stargate, yes. And if we kept going, it would just be easier to tell you what Marvel characters or X-Men characters are not gay, or at least had bi or some sort of incident, than it would be to try to catch you up. Just be perfectly honest. They've destroyed Marvel that much. It's that ridiculous.
Yeah, apparently Wolverine is bi now, and I'm just kind of like, what?
Some sort of react. Yeah, he had an incident. You're like, what?
You notice that they're trying to do this like high school level, like elementary school type of, level of like drama and just.
But that's the only life experiences they have.
Yeah, exactly. It's all pettiness. It's all very petty, and it's so childish, and it's so immature, and that's what it is, Pops. Their only life experience is literally that part in their life, and they have never been able to grow up. I mean, high school never ends for them, for real. Seriously.
I have a theory. I have a theory. If you're willing to entertain it, for comic books. Okay. They have already driven out all of the hardcore fans. We don't buy that shit anymore. That's why we're supporting folks like Young Ripa. But that's right. But so here's the thing. My thinking is, like recently they announced a new team that's supposed to be all, gay, transgender, homosexual, whatever.
We talked about that last time. Yep.
Yeah. So my thought is, okay, they're trying to appeal to the younger market and bring in the younger crowds to come start buying comic books and all that. And I'm just kind of like, you guys are, comics are $5 a piece. Okay. It's like most kids.
Comic book. No.
Yeah. Most kids don't have $5 to spend for a comic book. Or if they do, it's like, okay, $5 for a comic book, or if I have the extra money, I can, save up a little bit and buy a video game, which is going to give me a hell of a lot more fun and a lot more entertainment for a longer period of time. Plus, kids these days don't really read.
No, they don't. They can't even look at. They can't even read a normal watch clock, like a face clock. They can only read digital, so that tells you something.
Yeah. They don't have the attention span, and they don't have the capacity. The comic books that they do read are manga.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, the comic book industry is so stupid. It's just like they haven't figured out who their target audience is, or they're aiming for the wrong target audience. And then they sit there going, well, why can't we make any sales? And you have stupid idiots.
That was a really good scissoring hen. That's a really good scissoring hen. I like it.
Yeah. You got people saying, you got Mary Sue DeConnick saying, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Well, we ain't buying your book.
And they were canceled.
Yeah. And then like a year later, she's like, I'm so worried about comic books because nobody's buying our books.
You told me not to. You told me not to, lady.
I know you told everybody not to buy your book. What did you expect? You're dumb. I'm sorry.
Well, there's also this mythos of, women not being in comic books and all that. And it's like, where is Ann Vicentes and Joe Wiggins and all these people that are these legacy creators? It's like, how did all this stuff get so far out of control? I wasn't as active in it, covering it, so I didn't see this all transpire in real time. And in hindsight, I'm like, you guys are morons. Like, anyway. Let me go through some chat, because Lord knows they just keep going, whether we're talking about what they're talking about or not. So Chris was saying that Angel is second only to Bobby's only second only to Angel in terms of the ladies. So yeah,
for sure.
Actually, yeah. Okay. Yes. Grifter's in the house. Yes. Miss Marvel, after credit scene, there's a mutant reference, and I kid you not, I know you guys are not watching the show. I will do a video. They literally have a little comment, and it goes something about, your genes are kind of like they're mutated, and you can hear them do. It's low and off key, and I was like, no, you did not do that, because I swore they were going to try to just squeeze in the Inhuman thing, because that's actually what the comic book is. I thought, well, they're going to try to save some face here, and then they'll tie it back into something else, but that's fine. No, they went full on 97 X-Men. It was gross. I felt dirty and gross. And by the way, Grifter, the other credit scene was even more cringy. I think he's just pointing out that the Iceman thing happened a minute ago. They made Nightcrawler give up his faith. Yeah, he can't be Catholic. Yeah, they had to get rid of that. Oh yeah, you can't be religious in that thing. They mocked Christianity in one episode. Like, it was just insane how they did. So, but yeah, it was a little strange how that went down. I didn't really cover it too much, but I did talk about Awesome One had popped in. Throwing again to nicknames. Yo Pops, adjacent father of bro and sis. Yep. Zach's scenarios with Gene making gay characters straight. They'd burn down Minneapolis. Are you kidding me? Zach's, if they make Tim Drake bi, they're basically saying he's gay, because now that he's had a little taste of the dude, he's not going to go back to Stephanie Brown. Freaking, it's so gross, Mags. It's so gross.
Yes,
right,
yes.
Chris is elaborating on what you said, that the problem is they think high school is the best part of life, which is why everything is teen angst. Yeah, because they don't have any life experiences. None.
And to be quite honest, I hated high school. I hated being in college too. I mean, I always hear and I never understood this, where it's like, this is your best life ever. And then, people staying back in that bubble where they just go back to their college towns and they stay there forever. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but I want to grow up. I want to be around people who are thinkers, who want to do more than just kind of party all the time. So I don't know. I don't like that. I never, that's why when I see this sort of stuff, I'm like, man, I'm seeing all this pettiness, high school pettiness going into, art. And it's gross.
Yeah. I really couldn't agree more. And I will say I'm like a hybrid. Like, I actually really enjoyed high school and college, but not because I was a partier. I just made the best of things. Just had good times. Just tried to have the best of whatever. But I would never think about, like, I would want to go back, or I'd want to live it again. Or I don't know. There's something very immature about a person that's not interested in trying to make themselves better. You have no real goals and aspirations, and you have no real sort of like foresight on what a plan is if you want to constantly go backwards and relive all of that petty nonsense that you can't change and undo, or that you think it's so impactful. Like, I got to be honest, going through a divorce, going through like real financial disastrous stuff, like, going through that kind of stuff. I mean, I know we went through the housing stuff, and it was like, yep. It changes your life when you start going through stuff like that. Like, you just look at the world differently. It changes everything about it. Having kids. When I had a kid, it was like everything changed. I don't even know how to explain why. It just did. It just did.
I think we're hitting the nail on the head, is that these quote unquote creators of this new world, I don't know, storytelling, I guess. They have no real life experience whatsoever. I mean, I may be 34, but at least I've dealt with some things in my life, personally, in my own family and my extended family and everything else in between, and friends. And it's just, and maybe that sort of makes me a little bit like a loner, because I just can't deal with a lot of people's pettiness. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't want to be around that sort of stuff because those people don't want to grow up at all. I mean, we're not talking like Narnia levels of, forget your imagination type of stuff.
No,
where we're
no.
where we're Susan, yes. But it's kind of like, at the same time, you gotta, I don't know. I'm rambling right now in my brain.
No, you're absolutely right, because the person that behaves that way is just stuck in the mud. They're just stuck in the mud. They're not the world keeps turning. There's another birthday coming for them, just like it just came for me. And if you're spending all your time dwelling in the past, you can't change the past. It's a page that was already written. You got to move on. You got to learn from it. So,
Yep.
Hey, Gap, you're not alone. You're not alone, bro. But the only new comics I've bought in the last 3 years has been from Boom Studios, independent comic makers that are now been called Comics Gate. So that's a pejorative, but independent creators. And I'm going to look to buy the Teenage Ninja Turtle Last Ronin if I can get a collected version of that. Even though I will say a lot of stuff Ironcaster shows off maybe in my future as well, but not mainstream DC or Marvel. Kids like manga, video games, or TikTok. Yeah, awesome one is a doubling down on everything T-shirt said earlier. Manga is the equivalent. $10, $11, 4 to 5 times the amount of pages. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And he has those clips. Let's see. I think I got most things. Oh, geez, Louise. The chat. Oh, my gosh. It just blips and moves. And they're Pearlio life forms here. Hey there, man. Awesome. Thanks for hopping in. Looking forward to Knight's Orville. Yes. Partying was boring, too. Nothing compelling about it. Well, we all do some stuff. And then after a while, it's like, well, how much stuff are you going to keep doing? The thing for me in college was like, once I had the friend, like they would, you fail the second exam. It's like, dude, usually throw one out. You can't fail two. You gotta stop. You gotta stop. So, said no girls are at Comic-Cons going through back issues of comics. Amen. I have never seen like these girls going through, and good luck trying to get rid of all this stuff from this era. So only Eddie Murphy gets to party all the time.
It'll be perfect firewood kindling. Let's just put it that way.
It's insane. It's insane. I apologize if I'm not be able to get through all your chat, but I gotta ask T-shirt if he could hit private chat and see if you can share that Ripaverse thing for me. It's at the very, very top. Since my computer may still be giving us some issues from time to time, you can share Ripaverse. Let's have some celebratory good news.
Yeah.
Lord knows it is good news. Yes,
Speaking of minority owned
Yes.
in their view, business owner and creator of a new story and comic and everything else, and following actual good creators who don't bash the fans. They actually are very passionate with the fans. So yay, let's go.
It's been so exciting to hear Eric talk about this stuff for so long. Because I'm listening to be honest, I found Eric because of the comic book stuff, like these deep dives into different elements of things. No, I'm asking if you could share. Yeah, if you could share at your end, and then I'll put it up, and then that way I can check it, because my computer's it's constantly giving me like a little thing about my connection, and I didn't think I could do. I'm plugged in. It's still storming, but it's not like right on us, so I don't think I'm going to lose power or anything like that. But it's probably what caused me to pixelate earlier. Eric did like a deep dive on DC stuff. He's done deep dives, and he's like these 30-minute videos and things like that. So to see him follow through and say, let's do it. Guys, like 30 hours crosses $1 million. The last I checked, and this should have the link when we scroll, should be able to see how far down we go there. It should be even more than that. Probably 1.3 something million is what I last checked. That's just incredible. For a 96 page, there it goes.
You got to view the campaign.
Yeah, hit view campaign.
There it is.
Wow.
Woohoo!
Look at that. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that
Total
feel good?
revenue $1 billion? Jeez.
$1 million. $1.3 million. A 96 page colored comic with variant covers. You can get signed versions. There's t-shirt merch, posters, cards, everything. He has already bought all this. This is not a crowdfunding campaign. This is done. Those question marks are the crowdfunding campaign. Those are literally the phone calls. Look, so I don't know if they're still up, but somewhere in there was if we get to 300,000, this is what happens. If we get to 500,000, this is what happens. Whatever. And it was like, when we get to this point, the next 2 comics will go into production immediately, and you'll have them by the end of the year. When he got to $1 million, guys, I don't know if you saw this or not. All of the part-time employees are now full-time employees.
Yep. There's
that.
I think. Yeah, that's
you are
amazing.
crowdfunding people to have jobs. If you want to look at it as crowdfunding, you know what?
Yep.
Screw you if you don't call it anything other than that. It's if we're going to buy this dude's comic book, he's going to tell you he's going to have the money then to make sure he pays people to work more for him.
Hey, Eric, you need another guy working for you? I'm always available. Yeah.
I think you're in Texas, man. You can hook him up. See what's going on, bro. Yeah.
I'm not too far from him. About 3 hours away from him.
I would email him at this point, man. I'd be like, what do you need, bro? If they didn't
I'll go get you water, man. I'll go get you water. I don't care.
Whatever. Yeah.
I'll go do the typical female stereotype and bring him coffee if he wants to.
We get Mags. No, we get Mags. You'd run in some table at a con when he gets to look at the angelic Mags.
No, he does water. Remember, he has to hydrate.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Water. I'll gladly bring water. If he wants it iced or no ice, I'll do it.
The five.
He's already sold out of this.
Yeah, the $5,000. He did like a $5,000, like you'll be canonized. That right there.
Yep.
See,
and it's already sold out. $5,000.
That was sold out within minutes.
Yep.
10 people bought that. That's $50,000 right there.
$50,000. Yeah. Yeah, I was actually financially strapped. Andy Smith did them on his comic for like $400. And I couldn't do it at the time. I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to be in a Pops in a. How could I not be in a comic book? Like I'm like the stereotype of like the old white comic shop owner, not quite as noticeable as Mr. Beekler, but I had my time. I had my turn. So, no, it's great. We have our downtime, guys. DC and Marvel is in the tank, it's been in the toilet. I can't recommend new stuff, but I can tell you what, FOMO or not, this seems like an exciting time to jump in on something that's cool. 96 pages, by the way. And his prices are really, really cheap for 96 pages. I'm shocked. It's like, I think it was $35. So $50 is what I expected. When I think he had said a couple months ago it was going to be about close to 100 pages. I think that'd be about $50. That's 50 cents a page. That's still, that's still a reasonable figure. It was cheaper than that. And if you bundled, you could even get it cheaper than that. So, yeah. So there you go, folks. Rip of us.
What he did was that he did something what typical Indiegogo creators have done in a backwards attempt, because he's built up so much equity from other projects that he's done over the years. YouTube, his own being in a band, being on the Blaze, I'm sure, and everything else. And talking to his audience, like how T-shirt had just highlighted, respect the customer, which is God, it's it's like a breath of fresh air hearing that from him, and especially his gratitude video that he did after he almost hit 1 million in less than a day, and it just he's so humble about it, and he's so passionate about this project and wanting to bring the fans something that they want and what he wants to give too. And it's something that's very refreshing. It's like a breath of fresh air. And then not only that, but he also put up $200K of his own money to help get this project up in the air, up and running. And it's not just folks, it's not just been going on for two months. He's been working on this for over a year. Yeah. I would say it's probably been about 1.5 years. At least.
Probably, I was going to say 2 years, because he had to start writing way back then. And the last few months, he's been more transparent about getting the warehouse space, and the orders are at the printer. And this is where we're trying to work on T-shirts and website design and stuff like that. And so, T-shirt on that page, when he has these like codes and these sort of things, it reminds me very much of the old school Marvel letters to the editors, and they would respond to you. Mm-hmm. You remember those? I have a friend, and I kept a copy. I mailed it to him for his birthday because I still had one. In Web of Spider-Man #3, they answered my friend's letter. And it's like that level of connection. It made them. I mean, they were already like celebrities to us because they were like making comic books. They were making our heroes, but then they would have this way to kind of communicate, and they would actually answer you. It was so cool. By the way,
And not only that, but they were having technical difficulties like in the first couple of hours, of course, on this launch.
Overwhelmed.
And they were the customer service and the respect of the customer was just absolutely phenomenal. Just watching that and just the humility as well as the patience that Eric showed. He wasn't berating everybody for having problems. He was like, "We're working on it. We're still working on it. We're still working out the kinks." That's going to go a long way. I'm just going to say.
Oh, well, the videos that he's done. Well, first off, I put this up. T's and P's for Nerdporio, man. Feel better. Yeah, Comic Con crud is a true thing. It's legit, man. Getting the cooties, getting the Comic Con cooties, definitely a true thing. So, hang in there, my friend. Yeah, but you can watch these videos on the actual Rippaverse site. You can go to his YouTube channel. He's done 3 or 4 videos. Today's video, he really went into calling them all crackheads. You're calling me everything but putting an A or an ER at the end of the word because you're a bunch of morons. You're a bunch of freaking crackheads. I love Eric July. He's always been this way. He's tough as nails. I was always attracted just not only the comic book stuff, but obviously a lot of the political stuff's what I aligned with. So big fan and really happy for him. Just so thrilled. And I'm also thrilled for the earth shaking that it can hopefully do to the industry and hopefully encourage other creators. I just want everybody to create, just make stuff. Who cares? Let's do it. Make some stuff. Awesome one says, I remember a podcast, an interview with someone who worked with Frank Sinatra, and he spoke of how petty Hollywood has been from the beginning, describing it in a nonstop high school. Yeah, that's all the people were. Who was in your freaking theater departments? Don't you guys remember drama classes and who did the plays? I did a couple of plays. They were morons. They were morons. George Lucas. Thanks, man.
Hey, George.
But I did a couple of plays, and I always just I always wanted to do something that was extremely weird. That's what I always wanted. No surprise there. If you've got to know me, I don't want to do I'm not going to do the white guy. If I did a white guy, it was I had to be like an 80-year-old white guy in a voice, and just. But I always was surrounded they were just such nimrods. They weren't people that I'd want to be around any length of time. There's just nothing there to work with. Now I had one friend. He was, he got older. We were all right. He grew on me, but so anyway. Okay. Awesome one. He's at Shenanigans. Let's see here. T-shirt Mags collab where Mags and teachers has to stop Baphomet from defiling Squeaka.
Mags, you have not met Baphomet yet, have you?
I don't think I have. Oh my gosh.
I don't even know what's happening.
Have you seen Baphomet?
No, I don't think so. Should I look this up or should I be afraid?
No, you want me to go get him for you?
Yeah. Sure.
You do that. We'll
okay. I'll be right back.
Hey, Brandon Looney Tunes guy. Hey there, bro.
Hey, Brandon.
He's doing good. Young Sippa. I think that's going to tie into what we were just talking about. I'm a little concerned, but it's okay.
Yeah, the salty tears are flowing with the Sippa.
I hope everybody ordered. Make the thing. He definitely ships. So yes, mini graphic novels sell from $25 to $50, and actually the standard price on a hardback, easily will be $30, and that's the mass produced ones. And people think those things are worth money, and they're not. Go to Comic Shops and get them super cheap. So. Basically sold out. Not everything is sold out. Awesome one, and I guarantee there'll be second printings and whatever. So just hang tight if you missed out. So
I think they're open till Friday because they reopened it.
Mags. Mags.
Yeah, check your DM, Pops. I've been memed.
Oh, it's so glorious. I love it. He's a boss, man. He is so good at this, and he's so fast. So
oh yeah, I love it. Oh, is that Baphomet?
Let's see. All right, we're gonna take this down. T-shirt, are you back with your Baphomet? Is that what are you talking about? Is that what he's talking about?
Or do you want me to share since your computer?
No, I think I can. I'm gonna try to share. Let's see if it'll go through to share. This is Mags. Oh, Lord Baphomet. Look at him.
Hi, Lord Baphomet. Oh wait, you're Lord Baphomet.
Hell out of me in the other room. So what is it? What?
Oh God.
That's freaking great. Lord Baphomet is here in the house.
Oh no. Should I be scared?
Do you have a special message for Mags?
I didn't even have any time to get my music together for this thing. T-shirt just went and he pulled me out of bed and said, "Hey, Baphomet, get over here on the damn channel. They want to talk to you." So what is this
hi. Hello there.
show? Oh, hi there.
Magitek Mags. Now you have to behave, Baphomet. I got to keep it PG, so you have to behave. I know she's angelic. I hear that a lot.
Sometimes.
If you rub my horns, they're very soft.
Oh gosh. What did I get into?
I'm not sure we can allow rubbing of the horns on my show. That might cross the line as well, Lord Baphomet. Let me share you, Lord Baphomet, so you can get a full view of what you might be up against here.
Yeah.
Want to make sure we're clear. Let you know not to get too full of yourself or full of shenanigans. Let's see if it'll actually load on us here. Lord Baphomet. It's the best. Steven Ransom, you're awesome, man. Awesome. So, Lord Baphomet, you ready to, don't get carried away, man. She's ready. Come at me. She's ready.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
You never know.
That's right.
Nobody puts Mags in the corner, though. Nobody puts Mags in the corner. She has to go there willing.
Mm-hmm. It has to be on my terms.
Mm-hmm. We can talk. Don't worry. I like contracts. Contracts are my favorite. You want to come sign a contract with me, Mags?
Lord Baphomet, are you regularly on Twig, or is this like a special tour that you're going on now?
Oh, no. Every once in a while, I pop in on that idiot T-shirted channel, but mostly you can find me on the Cotton Council.
All right.
I just joined the Cotton Council's membership
Mags.
there, so I'm in trouble then.
You might be bumping into Lord Baphomet regularly, is what I'm hearing.
You'll see me pretty often, along with that idiot Jolly.
Oh boy. Talking smack over here about Jolly. Now we're gonna have all sorts of craziness that breaks out.
I kidnapped him and I took him down to my special room and I had him watch all the new seasons of Batwoman.
Oh my gosh, that's cruel and unusual, Lord Baphomet.
That's extreme torture. That's abuse, Lord Baphomet. How do you feel about that?
I loved it. I was enjoying every minute of it. I couldn't stop laughing.
So you're basically a sadist, is what you're confessing here on my show. You're confessing how much of a sadist that you really are. I don't know. I'm a little concerned for you, Mags. You'll be hanging out with this guy so much. I'm not kind of wondering what state you'll be in. They'll be roughing you up over there.
I know. I am certainly able to take care of myself, Pops. It's all good.
Right.
Don't worry.
Don't want her subjected to too much CW and poison her brain. Now they'll be doing that to her, Lord Baphomet. You got to take care of it.
By the way, I have so many fans.
Well, Lord Baphomet, I am so great that you were able to hop in and join us at least for a few minutes. You can quit staring up at Mags now. It's getting a little
my glorious presence was an honor for you. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, might have made Mags kind of uncomfortable. I'm not sure she's going to come back now. It's because you have that longing stare that you keep looking up at her with. Yeah, it's a little too much for me. I'm a little stop.
I feel like he's staring into my soul. It's kind of interesting and intriguing.
It's actually not where I'd like to be staring, but you don't have your
camera. All right, Lord Baphomet.
All right, you watch T-shirt back. He's over there crying in the corner now.
All right, well, hopefully he's not having to be subject to more CW like you evil monster.
No, I'll find something fun for him to do later on. Hey, T-shirted, how about we burn all your Blu-ray discs later? Yeah.
Oh, jeez. It's a monster. It's an absolute monster.
Oh my gosh.
It's an absolute monster.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome one points out that the great evil EVS supports Eric July. Of course he does.
Well, according to them, he's evil. So
I know he's called all sorts of crazy names. It's absolutely insane. Oh man, hang on, guys. I got to catch back up to the. There we go. Okay, got chat rolls. So, Popsy grew on you like mass. I think that might be true. Baphomet is the goat. Oh,
well, he is a goat. So I mean, there's that.
Hi, Baphomet. Let's see.
Hey guys.
Oh, thank God you're back. It was tough. It was tough. It was tough.
Yep.
There was all sorts of threats of CW. Your Blu-rays were possibly at risk. We were trying to like figure out what we could do at our end. It was a little sketchy. They were touch and go for a moment.
He's pretty mean. Don't sign any contracts with him unless you really, really, really want to be indebted to him for a long time, like me.
Well, I mean, I turn into an Esper. I'm not sure what he realizes what I can do.
Ironcaster, that's as close as misbehaving as you've ever been on my show. Just so we're clear.
No comment, Ironcaster.
Yeah, no comment. So let's see. Best version of Batwoman is EFAPS. I don't know. As like crying, like yeah. I don't know. There's some good stuff out there when it comes to what Batwoman did. I couldn't do it. I literally have seen like one scene of Batwoman because Az was talking about it, and I couldn't believe it was that bad. I had to watch it for myself. That's the only scene I've seen. Let's see. The great evil is saying EVS called all of his competitors. All right. Okay. Oh boy, that was a roller coaster ride. Lord Baphomet coming up in here talking CW smack, celebrating the rip of us. That's always good stuff.
Been a heck of a show.
T-shirt.
Yes.
We've been trying to continue to encourage and offer suggestions for Mags, accessible ways to get into comics, expanding her pop culture lore, if you will. So
Okay. Well, the nice thing is Marvel these days is releasing a lot of trade paperbacks of their classic stuff. Go to where it all started. I would actually the one guy I would recommend. I mean, obviously anything that's Kirby. But I'm a particular fan of Steve Gerber. Steve Gerber is the guy who created Howard the Duck.
Okay.
And he was also kind of a big force behind the Defenders and lots of 90s and 80s cartoons that you love and other properties. I mean, all you got to do is wiki Steve Gerber, and you will see that he has probably worked on something that you love at one point or another. So my advice is buy anything Steve Gerber and start there.
Okay. That sounds
I think
like
it's
good
also
advice.
I think it's also a great idea too of things that you already like if because they did a lot. So whether it was be Marvel or DC, there's a ton of movie tie-in stuff and things like that, and it just kind of gives you an idea of the art and the creators and those kinds of things. I think I showed Battlestar Galactica on one of the streams. Yeah, there's tons of that kind of stuff. And listen, Ironcaster, I didn't even think you had it in you to be that mean. I got a person to watch the first episode of TND and Batwoman back to back. Quote for science. As a scientist, I'm offended. Just so
That's cruel and unusual
That
punishment.
is. I didn't know Ironcaster had this. Talk about a dark side, living up to the icon, the avatar.
Yeah.
He probably had to hand out like a big handful of Valium to them afterward.
Castle, we were late because I had no power for an hour. We just started and jumped in and started talking about all sorts of stuff. Chris Claremont is an easy answer.
Yes.
Obviously, he is the GOAT when it comes to the X-Men stuff. John Byrne, Fantastic Four. Those are kinds of things. I'm going to send her some notes, that kind of thing. Let's see.
I actually I finished getting all the big trade paperbacks for Alpha Flight, the old Byrne ones.
Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah.
But it's nice to have them in trade paperback form now, so I can keep my comics kind of, sort of pristine. I'm not going to lie. I had them when I was a kid, so it's kind of like they're not in the best shape.
They are. Yeah. But he says, don't comic shops down there still have the monthly sale? That's a perfect time to purchase trade paperbacks. I will always recommend Chris Claremont for brilliant X-Men runs. Absolutely. You can get trade paperbacks cheap, which is a great way to just experiment with different stuff, especially if there is a comic show or something like that, or bags. If you're traveling around any way, shape, or form, you find a shop, just see what their price is on some of that kind of stuff. Because a lot of times the trades don't move as much, and they tend to, like to mark them down. We'll see. Had to find out which show was worse. The answer was, by the way, Batwoman. Yes. So let's do a comic book review to close the show, because I need to do this review because I get to interview tomorrow. T-shirt.
Oh, good.
Graham Nolan.
Wow, he's an awesome dude.
Yeah,
I've talked to him before.
So this is Alien Alamo.
Oh, cool.
His version here. So
yeah,
let's do a little show and tell and go through Graham's Alien Alamo. So literally, it is exactly that. It's cowboys versus aliens, right? He did the story. He did the art. The art, actually, I think what you would, Mags, you were talking off air. We're talking about stuff that can be accessible for young people as well. This really has, it has that type of art where it seems like it is for young folks. Like it seems like it is, but it is also, it is also mature and not. It's like also both. Like it's appropriate. It's like I think there are a couple of curse words, but it's just them out of their fear. So the premise is this is the dad and the boy dealing with loss. The mom's gone, really battling. This was the frame that tells you that. And he's talking to his boy. They're supposed to be. What are they looking for? Oh, this is set back when Sputnik was going to fly over air, like the first Russian satellite over. So instead of seeing that, the boy sees what are shooting stars. He goes to tell the dad, and then come to find out, obviously, there's little aliens that are going to show up. So this is our first tease of what these aliens are going to look like.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the story kind of progresses through there. You get to meet some other folks. This is another character. And basically it's like the missing cow. It's a little bit of Tremors. We get like the creepy mystery of the alien or something. So the animals are disappearing. This is one of the cows when it shows up. This is what it turns himself into. So, it's never over the top graphic or anything like that. So the dad also is dealing with, there's also this great sort of military PTSD subplot to it all. And I love, this is a dream sequence that the dad is having. Where it flashes in black and white to this incident that happens during the war.
Huh.
So that was really good. And then when, of course, he snaps out of it, and this is what you like, because this is when you know you're dealing with a really good story maker. Because the shock is not just the story; it's also a presentation. So we go from the dream to when he wakes up, and he snaps out of it into a full page zap. You know what I mean? You turn the page, you're back in color. It's a full page spread, that kind of thing. So story progresses, more dead animals, more story, and that kind of thing. And then once the creature actually attacks, like we don't know exactly what we're dealing with, this is what we get. What it'll do to you.
Eesh.
So it's a little hardcore there. And they don't know what to do. So there's a lot of this. People are panicking. People don't know what to do. They don't really know exactly what they're doing. The boy has no idea. He's totally oblivious. And we had just recently done the Talk Hard on Thing. And I love this sequence because it almost felt like Thing, where like the kid brings one of the little pods home. It just starts breaking out on his table and turns into one of these things right on his table. I love, that's pretty freaking great. That's great. And it's just very believable. Like the kid is not meaning to be naive. He's like a kid. He doesn't know. And the dog, so there's scenes with the dog and what the dog does, and they try to put together a posse and go and hunt down whatever it is they're dealing with, and they try to come up with a plan to fight back. And that's where you see, like there are thousands of them. There's hundreds of them. They have their plan to fight back. Again, this is an Indiegogo campaign, so this is not little 18-page, 12-page nonsense. This stuff goes on and on and on. And you see the battle rages. It gets intense. We lose people. It's very, very good. Very fast. I don't want to spoil every single moment. Basically, half the posse bails out. They come up with a scheme to instigate a stampede to trample them, which I thought was interesting. If nothing else, that was the last thing I expected to have happen. It doesn't really work, which is fine, because they eventually go back deeper into the cave to find out, and that's where we get like into like an alien tie-in, where we find that there's actually a queen. I guess it's called a queen, even though it looks like this crazy monster thing. I don't know. Kind of felt with a little bit of a 1950s feel, I guess. A little bit was what he was going for. Characters die, stuff goes on, and then I don't want to spoil the twist, but it kind of ends. And then there's like a little twist of what is actually happened with the boy and the dad and that kind of thing at the end. And it's kind of a setup for, another book, which is what you should do if you're trying to sell books. So.
Pops. I just had some nerd-stalgia here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just found out that the Frisco Kid is available on Blu-ray.
Oh my, Harrison Ford.
You remember that one with Gene Wilder and Harrison Ford?
Yeah. That's some good stuff. I don't think I have a Blu-ray copy even. I think I have my copies. I only have a DVD. Yeah.
It's only $18.
All right.
Dang. Yeah, I'm pouncing on that.
That's a good pick. So yeah, this is Graham Nolan. He has a new one. It's called Giant Size Two-Fisted Manly Tales. That will be the sequel to this. But I get to interview him tomorrow. We'll talk about this a little bit. Talk about that. Talk about some other stuff that he's done. Yeah, Graham was a big icon for me as a Batman fan back in the day. So let's see.
Now you know what you need to do when he gets on your show.
Well, I can't go into the Bane stuff. That's what you're going to try to throw at me. So what do you want to do?
You can't go into the Bane stuff?
No, he kind of doesn't want to talk about all that anymore.
Okay, that's understandable. Okay, here's what you do. You got to get him to show you his muscles because he's jacked.
Oh, I know he's jacked. Oh, yes. If anyone lives to the Manly Tales brand, Graham always has. Graham has always been ripped. Always been ripped. Back in the day when we're on the 80s and 90s, you didn't see people like this, Mags. There'd be shots of him and he would just be like, cut. And you're like, what on earth does this man do? He's worked he draws and does sit-ups. I mean, is that all this man does? Like, holy crap.
That
like
sounds like a good life.
Sit-ups.
That sounds like a good life right there.
Let's see. All right. Anyway, so yeah, Graham Nolan is tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. I have Graham on with me, and then afterwards, noob reviews, where we'll do a little bit more of a dive deep into recommendation for a new comic book creator, and I'm going to go through with her a little more detail about stuff that she has and explain, like, because she's like real anxious about old comic book. She bought an old Batman Robin comic book T-shirt. It's all like it got wet. It's all water stained. She's still like careful with it. And I'm like, yeah, just read it, girl. Just read it, girl. Don't worry about things like that. That's the perfect stuff to read because it's already torn up. There's no value in something like that.
Hey, Pops.
Mm-hmm.
Just about a few minutes ago, cover C for Eric July's campaign has been released.
Ooh,
that question mark. So if you want me to, I can share.
Yes, please. Let's see what cover C looks like.
Share screen.
So cover C would be a variant cover of ISOM #1. So it was revealed that there would be a cover C, but we didn't know the details. And again, I think when you go back to the very beginning when this went live, a lot of this stuff was like, when we get to this amount of money, that we have blown all of that out of the sky. Things that would probably come as part of his plan. I would tell you that his plan has all been sped up, and that's what we're getting to enjoy. So here we go. Cover C. Cover C is.
Let me bring it up a little bit. Let's see here. There it is.
Ooh,
okay.
Action. All right. Does he
I
say
like
who it is?
The best, but.
It says, yep, it's available on the store. So
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think cover B is the coolest cover, but
that's
like
what I got.
There's more there's more character reveal here. I like that too. That creates some more conversation that we can have too.
This looks like a conflict going on here as well.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Awesome stuff. That is awesome stuff.
Woohoo! So let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's keep getting out there, supporting independent creators, and finding stuff that you love. Steve Ransom, you already know about Noob. I don't know about you guys. If you haven't seen Noob reviews, Megan is so full of excitement and enthusiasm. I mean, like Casper the Ghost. I mean, she has everything. She went from Casper to Conan, and I was blown away. I'm like, I gotta have Megan. Let's do this. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk comic books tomorrow. So, yeah, not much to. I didn't get a whole lot of new stuff recently. Just been trying to catch up on I literally have like a stack of this stuff to do that will be clipped from my review for his Alien Alamo. I try to give some sort of review. It's kind of a recommend. I wouldn't say it's a high recommend, but it's a fun little story. It's clean enough. It's interesting enough. It's drawn well. It moves fast. It's paced. It's also a lot. I mean, this isn't like, a 20-page thing. It's probably 50 pages. He does, it had promo art and different alternate stuff. And you could have ordered, this is the Aaron Lopresti variant cover. There's autograph versions and things like that you can get. I assume on Compass Comics, that's what his site is called. You can get some of this stuff. I didn't check on the latest to see what's over there. So anyway, all right. So T-shirt, you also have and had some cool interviews. Let's plug some of those as well. So what's going on with some of the other stuff that you do besides Twig?
Well, let's see. On Sunday, this past Sunday, I had an interview with Joe from Biggest Geekus, and he announced the creation of his new TTRPG sales enterprise, which he actually posted the first page of it. It's called the Big Geek Emporium. It's not totally up yet. He's still getting it set up, but I'll toss you the link in the private chat. He's accepting donations right now, but it's going to be able to compete with Drive-Thru RPG, which is a big deal. So I'm wishing him a lot of success on that. And next week is a really big week. Next week, we're going to have Mark Reinhagen on Tuesday for Dungeons and Discussions. And this is the guy who created Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, and that was so big. It was so perfectly timed too, because it kind of bled and overlapped into that Anne Rice boom where people were just obsessed with all the Anne Rice stuff. And then of course those Anne Rice movies came out, and it all just kind of flooded into this thing that lasted for, I mean, it was crazy for probably about 6 to 7 years, right? I mean, it was bonkers for stuff. Normies knew about that stuff. Yeah, it was great.
Yep. And what's really awesome is what he wants to talk to us about is his, obviously we're going to talk about the old school vampire stuff, but we are also going to talk about his brand new role-playing game called Lost Lorn. And that is going to be releasing on Kickstarter during our interview. So
that's awesome. That's freaking great. Congratulations, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you check that out. We'll have links to T-shirts, channel there for you folks. Make sure you get that. And if you're not sub, let's give him a sub. Let's get out there to support these interviews. If you miss it live, just catch it up, man. Go through this library of Twig and some different things that are going on. Such a fun show. A lot of great folks on there. Love it very much. And man, we've had some good stuff in here. Mags has been traveling. We're going to get her out there. Keep pushing her to be more. If you're going to try to get her on your show, folks, you got to ask now. Like, she's August. Just get on the calendar now.
Yeah, my job is
July is mine. July is mine. She's awesome, and she's always insightful. They're great link. Thank you, Chris. Awesome. Thank you so much. He's on Twitter as well, the T-shirted one. And Mags, thanks for hanging out with me. T-shirt, it's awesome. Oh man, Chris, you're a boss. Thank you so much for modding for us, coming in here. I know we were late, and I know you got stuff going on too, man. But I appreciate you coming back around and helping us out. Great folks in chat, rock stars in chat. I got to see Zach's was at least here. We cannot get our schedules to match to do a show together, but we are trying. Zach's and I are definitely cut from the same cloth. So, well, let's see. What should we go out with tonight? Because T-shirt, like they have people that have all of these, like, when you're a member or you do they play all these like serious clips. Like everyone's into all this serious stuff, right? They're into like Vikings and Spartans, and that's not me. That's not me.
Okay.
So I showed a couple things last time. I don't know that I uploaded anything particularly new because I was on vacation, man. So let me just show you one of the things that I shared last time. So this is what I think you should,
I went in and just simply, oh yeah, you can milk anything with nipples.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
we just need to have a laugh. We just need to find a way to get through tomorrow, just one step at a time. So, folks, make tomorrow a little better than today. Be blessed. Talk hard. Just go out there and be yourself, and go out with a little bit of chill. Here's some Bob Ross.
Bob Ross. All I